As we know, wherever we look into this world, there are different kinds of suffering everywhere. There are different kinds of crisis, economic crisis, the war, and mm, the things like bullying, one country invading another country. All these problems, the difficulties, is mainly due to the shortage, mainly due to the shortage and the lack of universal ethics, the lack of the human values. When we talk about human values, we are mainly is purely based on the loving compassion. It's purely based on the loving compassion, because once we cultivate the loving compassion, there's simply no room for any kind of unhealthy situations or unpleasant situations. The world would prosper. The world, we are in a better position. We are in much healthier situation. We should not have any kind of that much of problem. So therefore, much of the problem that we face today is simply due to the shortage, to the lack of the secular ethics. Because once we are able to cultivate this loving compassion, there's simply no room for war. Therefore, in order to cultivate the loving compassion, it becomes also very important to rely on somebody who is also filled with the embodiment of the loving compassion, who has all the loving compassion qualities, who has perfected the loving compassion, and that is, of course, Avalokiteshvara. It makes a huge difference, because by relying on the Avalokiteshvara, our mind is moistened with love and compassion. We become more compassionate. We become more sensible person, more compassionate person. Because after all, Avalokiteshvara is the embodiment of the compassion of all the Buddhas. So Avalokiteshvara is the best represented the loving compassion of all the Buddhas. So therefore, by relying on Avalokiteshvara, our mind comes to fill with love and compassion. Once our mind comes to fill with love and compassion, our quality of the life is increased. Day-to-day life, we become much happier. Our life become much better, more happier, because finally the very purpose of life is to feel happy. That is mainly done by cultivating ourselves with the loving compassion. And one of the instrumental for cultivating the loving compassion is by relying on Avalokiteshvara. So by practicing the Avalokiteshvara, to practice Avalokiteshvara, we first of all need to receive the empowerment. It is best to have received the empowerment. So once we receive the empowerment of Avalokiteshvara, then we can practice the Avalokiteshvara, and our life becomes much easier, much happier. And it also helps us to engage in other practices like Zambala practice. So therefore, one is encouraged to take the Avalokiteshvara empowerment for the benefit of oneself as well as for the benefit of all others.